Big currency headlines are moving again this week, and if you follow the Iraqi Dinar or the Vietnamese Dong, you have probably seen the words huge update and RV trending across social media overnight, so let's slow down, look at what is actually happening, and separate real facts from wishful thinking. Welcome back to Iraqi Dinar Brief, the channel that tracks currency news the way it should be tracked, calmly, clearly, and based on real data, not hype. Today we are covering two currencies at once, the Iraqi Dinar and the Vietnamese Dong, because both have been part of online revaluation conversations for years, and both had genuine news this month worth breaking down. Let's start with Iraq. As of this week, the Central Bank of Iraq's official exchange rate remains at roughly 1,300 dinars to $1, a rate that has held steady since February of 2023. This rate was recently reconfirmed for use in Iraq's federal budget planning, which tells us the central bank is choosing stability over sudden change, at least for now. But here is where it gets more interesting. On the street, in the parallel market, the cash exchange counters you find in Baghdad, Basra, and Erbil, the dollar has actually been trading noticeably higher than the official rate, somewhere in the range of 1,500 to 1,530 dinars per dollar in recent weeks. That is a real gap of around 16 to 17% between the official bank rate and what people are actually paying on the ground. Why does that gap exist? It comes down to demand for physical cash dollars, restrictions in the official banking transfer system, and ongoing caution among everyday Iraqis who prefer holding dollars over dinars during uncertain times. Earlier this year, we actually saw the parallel rate weaken further and faster than expected, with reports out of Erbil showing the dollar climbing from around 149,000 to 157,000 dinars per $100 in just a couple of days. That is not a sign of an upcoming revaluation, that is a sign of currency pressure and public nervousness, which is the opposite story from what the hype channels usually promote. Now let's talk about the word everyone wants to hear, revaluation, often shortened online to RV. For years, a large online community has speculated that Iraq is about to dramatically increase the dinar's value overnight, turning modest currency purchases into instant fortunes. It is important to say this clearly and honestly. There is no confirmed date, no official central bank announcement, and no verified government policy pointing to an imminent dramatic revaluation of the Iraqi dinar. What we do have is something different but still worth watching. Iraq's central bank has reportedly reopened its exchange rate file this year for review, which simply means officials are studying rate policy again after a long period without active changes. That is a policy conversation, not a promise of a specific outcome, and it is important not to confuse the two. There's also ongoing discussion in Iraq about currency redenomination, which is a different concept entirely from revaluation. Redenomination means removing zeros from the currency and reissuing smaller numbered notes, similar to what Turkey did with the lira years ago. It is mainly a cosmetic and administrative change designed to simplify everyday transactions, not a change in the dinar's real purchasing power against the dollar. Some recent reporting suggests Iraq's cabinet may have the constitutional authority to move forward with redenomination without needing a full parliamentary vote, which is a meaningful legal development, but again, this is not the same as a revaluation event, and it does not guarantee any specific timeline. On the economic fundamental side, there are some genuinely positive signals coming out of Iraq this year. The Iraq Stock Exchange logged strong trading activity in the first half of 2026, with its main index rising by double digits, reflecting growing investor interest. There have also been reports of continued cooperation between Iraq's central bank and international financial partners, along with new licensing steps for global digital payment platforms entering the Iraqi market. These are the kinds of slow structural improvements that matter for long-term economic health, even though they rarely produce the overnight dramatic headlines that some corners of the internet are hoping for. Now let's shift to Vietnam, because the Dong has also been swept up in similar online revaluation talk recently, and the real story there is just as important to understand. The Vietnamese Dong has been on a long, gradual weakening trend against the US dollar for years, and that trend has continued into 2026, with the exchange rate sitting close to record lows, around 26,000 Dong per dollar. This is the result of Vietnam's managed exchange rate system, ongoing inflation pressure, and the country's central bank balancing two competing goals: keeping interest rates low to support strong economic growth, while also trying to avoid excessive currency depreciation. Just this month, the U.S. Treasury Department completed its regular review of major trading partners and found no evidence that Vietnam, or any other major partner, manipulated its currency for unfair trade advantage in the past year. That is a meaningful, verifiable data point, and it is worth noting because it directly contradicts the idea that Vietnam is secretly preparing some kind of sudden currency jump. Economists and rating agencies covering Vietnam this year have focused on steady, incremental themes: managing inflation, supporting export competitiveness, and maintaining investor confidence, not on any single dramatic revaluation event. So when you see video titles online promising an imminent, life-changing Dong revaluation, it is worth applying the same healthy skepticism you would apply to any investment claim that sounds too good to be true. Here is the bigger picture takeaway for both currencies. Currency markets move based on trade balances, interest rate policy, inflation, investor confidence, and central bank decisions, not based on rumors circulating in online forums or countdown videos. Both the Iraqi Dinar and the Vietnamese Dong are real currencies tied to real economies with real, ongoing challenges and real gradual reforms. Iraq is working through fiscal policy decisions, oil revenue dependence, and slow diversification efforts. Vietnam is working through inflation management and export competitiveness in a shifting global trade environment. Neither of these is a fast story, and neither should be treated as a guaranteed path to sudden wealth. If you are someone holding either currency or considering it, the healthiest approach is to treat it like any other cross-border currency position. Understand the real exchange rate mechanics, follow verified central bank statements directly rather than secondhand online claims, and never make financial decisions based on unconfirmed rumors or pressure to act quickly. So to directly answer the question in today's headline, is the RV finally near? Based on everything we can verify right now, from official Central Bank of Iraq statements to State Bank of Vietnam policy and independent Treasury Department review, the answer is no. There is no confirmed imminent, dramatic revaluation event for either currency at this time. What we do have instead is a set of real, gradual developments worth watching carefully over the coming months, and we will continue tracking every verified update as it happens. That's it for today's update here on Iraqi Dinar Brief. If you found this breakdown useful, consider subscribing so you don't miss our future coverage. And drop a comment letting us know which currency update you want us to dig into next. Stay grounded, stay informed, and we'll see you in the next video.